Hey everyone, welcome to Jesse's Stories. Today we have Mimi Wilcox, editor of Escaping Twin Flames, well, one of the editors on the team of Escaping Twin Flames on Netflix. Thanks so much for being here, and if you could introduce your role and what you did.
For sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, my name is Mimi, and like you said, I was an editor on Escaping Twin Flames. I'm a documentary editor and occasionally documentary filmmaker as well.
Very glad to have you here. Yes, we'll move into our first question. Walk me through a typical day, since I know just because of past interviews, you mainly were in an office space, right? Editing?
Well,
or am I wrong?
So I was the one of the editors that was not based in Los Angeles.
Oh.
So most of the team was LA based, but then just me and Zoe, the story producer, were in New York. So I worked remotely from, it was like an office space, but it's like a co-working space that I work out of. But so I didn't meet any of the team in person besides Jesse until the premiere of the show. So yeah, I was in my own little space separate from everyone else, which was interesting.
That is really interesting, especially with what Zoe said too, of she was also in her own little space since they had a virtual storyboard. So that's kind of cool. Did you guys have a virtual editing space?
Well, speaking of storyboards, it was actually really cool. Avery made these physical storyboards, and Avery actually, one of our APs, actually shipped me like all of the cards and everything from the physical storyboard. So I had my own like cork board in my little office, and I was able to like put up all the cards, which was really helpful at a certain point in the process. But so that was really cool. I think that was one of Avery's first big projects, was making sure that everyone had this like physical storyboard, and they had one in person in LA, but then they shipped me one too, which was really, really sweet.
I love learning new facts. This is one of the one things that I really, really love. Like even Cecilia had a lot of facts I wasn't aware of, and I had to learn some stuff to the build up to her interview from like Nadine, Morgan. Morgan was my first of the series for the interview, even though she wasn't the first posted, because some people have deadlines. And what was your favorite part of the editing process?
My favorite part of the editing process? It is hard to say. I think I think about the process. I mean, it's so different between different shows and in different setups and in different topics, but I think that generally I think about it as there's kind of like 3 stages that kind of interweave. But you have your days where you're really just like watching footage and organizing it and taking notes and just like understanding what's there. And then you have your days where you're building kind of like individual scenes and starting to put that footage together into scenes for the first time. And then there's like bigger structural days, where you're trying to kind of solve the puzzle of how do these things actually fit together, and how do we get from this idea to that idea and connect this character to this character. And I think that last stage is where I get the most like excited, because it's the most kind of like puzzle building, I think that's one of the things I like about editing a lot, is the puzzle of it. And so I think that having those days where you're really thinking and collaborating with people about like, all right, we have this scene that leads into this scene that's not quite working, something there isn't clicking, where can we move this scene that everything will kind of pop differently, and trying to solve those problems is really satisfying. And yeah, I guess connected to that, like what I really loved about this craft, but also really loved about this project and this team, was how collaborative it is. And talking through story issues or ideas with the rest of the team is always so exciting and satisfying. And I really liked the parts of the editing process, even though, a lot of it is, especially like I said, since I was separate in New York, a lot of it can be lonely and isolating, and that can be helpful to have that alone time to work through ideas. But that's when I think like really alive and really enjoy it, is when I'm actually talking through things with people in collaboration.
I know in at least my interview process, before being told, hey, we want you on set, here is the idea of the itinerary, because I took a little while to do it due to my day jobs.
Yeah.
But at least in the interview process with Morgan, Inbal, actually Zoe was there for one of them. Mm-hmm. Morgan, Inbal, and Cecilia. Cecilia was always there with each one of them when they were talking, but sometimes the collaborative. So I got a little taste of how it went in whatever space they were in. Cause it sometimes was like a table space, and sometimes it seemed like someone's random house when they were talking to me all together.
Totally.
And sometimes it was them separately in their houses talking to me. But no matter what, it was collaboratively talked even in front of me, giving me a point of view of a little point of view, not a full, but a little point of view of how that collaborative space happened. Okay, but like when I brought up Pisces intuition, the one, because my story is different from others, that she did in fact recruit me into Twin Flames universe, and she was a tarot card reader. But because we don't have enough facts or enough proof about that, the story couldn't be told in the actual docuseries itself.
Right.
Which I think that's important to say. I do want to continue getting that info out there because my indoctrination into Twin Flames universe was different from every single person's that you see in there. Most of them had a friend or already knew the concept. I never knew the concept. I didn't have a friend in there. I met a random person on YouTube that was a tarot reader.
Yeah.
And I got to know them. I built a relationship before any of that ever happened. So my story is definitely different. Even in my memoir, I'm making sure to get all facts in there. And that's why publicly I am saying this, that due to the facts not being there, they absolutely did have the conversation. Morgan really wanted to put it in there and brought it up. And Cecilia and Ball were like, but... And then they brought up the fact we don't have enough facts, we don't have enough evidence. I don't have the emails I used to have from her. I don't have everything backing. And even when I was a moderator of the Twin Flames Universe forum, I never personally saw her email. I never personally saw any of her information in there. So I would have seen that as especially a moderator, and I never saw her in there. So there's so many unknowns of that. I get why it didn't make it into the series, but I also want to educate people in that area because I went in differently than everyone else.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're talking about it and are writing your memoir and everything too, because it's such a good point that it's a 3-hour show and there's a lot in there, but there's so many stories and so many experiences that obviously couldn't make it in or aren't in there. And I feel like as consumers of media, that's so important for people to understand and appreciate, is that like no show, no movie, and no book is going to be like the definitive understanding of something, and it's so important to seek out all those different stories to gain a fuller understanding.
Exactly. And just like one thing that I've had to point out since the series came out, everyone takes point blank as all the information they're seeing there is exactly how it happened, exactly when it happened, when honestly, Zoe and we talked about this. Each of us, like I was in before Keeley, others were in before Keeley, that our time in varies greatly. And the indoctrination process regardless was quick. Like a year tops to fully be indoctrinated in. And there's just a lot of facts people don't understand. You can only fit so much in 3 hours. And everyone did an incredible job, which I keep on praising that no matter what, so people understand. The amount of information you guys were able to fit in and edit in, reach, was incredible because that's hard to do. That is not easy work. The only thing, that I've been pointing out is that you can only fit so much in. Like per hour of the series, you can't fit all the information in, and you have to have, as Cecilia and Inbal and Nadine, and I guess Jesse and Avery have said, you have to have the evidence backing that, because team of lawyers and everything checks everything in the process.
No, totally. And it's a good point too about the kind of chronology of it. Like I remember at one point there was this conversation about even like the order in which we used the classes and the YouTube, but basically the presentation of Jeff, because obviously like the way that Jeff looks kind of changes over time. And at one point there was a conversation of like, do we want to see him starting to grow the beard and growing his hair long and stuff, do we need to see that kind of like chronologically happen and like and use the videos in like chronological order? And that really couldn't happen, it didn't work from a storytelling perspective to follow the exact chronology because of, making sure that we're revealing information at the appropriate times. And so you're like understanding the build and so forth, and understanding, these people's stories are happening at different times. And so Jeff looks different in different videos and things like that. But that was one of those moments where storytelling reasons, we couldn't really stick to the like exact chronology of what was happening, and instead just try to be kind of faithful to the spirit of what was going on at different times. But anyway, certainly true that timelines get moved around, and
so the chronological order at least is not.
It's not
there.
I don't know how to put it. Yeah, it's non-chronological.
I'll just say it's not there, but it's still really well done. And it's just some of the facts of you can't fit that chronological order in an hour per thing. You literally have to pick and choose what the important information is. And I feel showing the abuse and the coercion, which you guys did a really good job of doing, that's definitely shown in there. And that's the most important part of the story. And the parents, what they went through, which I love that part of it too, because it's true. A lot of heartbreak within there, because I'm gonna use the term that everyone has a heart attack about purposely, because why not? Brainwashing, which is technically just coercion, another word.
Right, completely,
But it is real, it does exist. In America, sadly, we don't have laws that stop that from happening. In America, you can literally do that. I've seen it happen in classrooms I've worked in. I've seen coercion happen with children. It's how we are raised. We learn Cult 101, how to join a cult. It's pretty sad because people don't have the basic understanding of what coercion actually is. You aren't taught that in school at all. I never even knew what that was until I got out of the cult.
And I hope that's a concept that people are starting to develop a deeper understanding of, because I think you're absolutely right, and it's so present in so many of these high control groups, and it's so important for people to have that understanding of what coercive control is, and I mean for the the criminal legal system to have that understanding too. But I think that a lot of people still kind of come at some of these stories with this idea of like, how could that happen, or I would never do that, or and it just is, it's so much more complicated than that. And I hope, watching these shows and reading books we've been talking about, I hope that notion starts to have like a greater adoption in society generally.
I hope so, but the only problem is, at least what I've noticed with some influencers I follow and some people that they might not be like way A-listers or anything, but they still influence others. A lot of misuse of gaslighting, a lot of misuse
man.
Like, gaslighting is literally tossed around like it's not a big deal. It doesn't actually exist. Like, people will say, you're gaslighting me, even though, no, that's not happening right now. Way to misuse a term where you could actually get gaslit by an actual influencer, too.
Absolutely.
So, it gets a little gray.
No, it's a good
area
point.
There.
When terms become buzzy like that, that creates its own problems.
And that's part of one of the issues, which I love every person that's doing and educating with docuseries right now, and also using contributors / participants, collaborators, and actually educating people versus just using it as clout. I was never a true crime watcher of anything. Honestly, an ex-member told me to watch Cecilia and Inball's Nexium doc, Seduce. And that was the first one I ever watched. The other one that was on Amazon of The Vow, which I couldn't get through, but I got through Inball's and Cecilia's. Like, I got fully through that within 2 days.
Shorter,
And that was actually how I got onto Netflix, is this ex-member was leading me there by saying, did you watch this? Did you do that? Oh, by the way, Netflix is doing. Do you want to get in contact with them? And she got me in contact with them.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that story.
Amazon first, though, reached out to me. They were the ones who reached out. And then, I guess, naturally, ex-member and I just talked, and then she gave me their contacts. They reached out to me within 2 days, Cecilia and Inball.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just because people don't have that full background. I thought I'd add that in our interview.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But let's see. And know that it's normal for us to go off. It's a good thing, honestly.
Natural flow of conversation.
Yeah, just like buzzy words, Amanda Montell, that's her linguistic way. She is a linguistic of buzzwords. She is brilliant in her writing. I do highly recommend anyone read all her books, like from her feminist book, Word Slut, to Cultish, to her overthinking book, which is more personal for her because it's a little memoirish too, which I haven't started reading it, but I've heard everything she said about it.
Cool, yeah.
And I do own it.
Yeah, I've heard great things.
You've heard great things. I still will highly recommend it constantly to you, Mimi. Not that I'm saying
Keep
it coming. Sorry, I have my notes. I always have to have them. How did it feel to win an Eddie Award? And Can you explain for those that, because I never heard of it until literally In Ball One to come on for the interview wise to help even within that, but I had it come out too late. But explain what exactly an Eddie Award is.
So the Eddie Awards, yeah. So that was really, really exciting. It was really amazing. What they are. So I guess if people have heard of like the SAG Awards for acting and the DGA Awards for directing, that's one way to think about it, is the Eddies are the kind of equivalent for editing. It's celebrating editing across, like Hollywood movies and TV shows, and then also documentary features and documentary series. And so it's all editing kind of across genres. And it was really, really exciting. It was really exciting to be nominated for and win that award, because it was really cool, for one thing, just to be in a space full of editors. And also, like I was saying, it was actually the first time that the whole editing team of Escaping Twin Flames was in the same place at the same time, which was really, really special, because I had been working remotely. And so at that event, we kind of all in one place and celebrate each other and then be celebrated for our work. So it was a really, really cool experience and really special to be there. And I'm very thankful to be a part of that experience. Yeah, I think the only, sad thing about it is that the whole team isn't there, and it really feels like everyone should be celebrated for their work, and you all should be celebrated for you are the series as well. And so I hope that there's more opportunities to recognize everyone for what they brought to the show. But it was a really, really cool thing.
And it was fun to see too. I guess Hollywood filmed version of it, but I think Cecilia was the one who was filming it.
Yeah, she had like an iPhone video. Yeah.
But okay, then it was Cecilia. I got to see the phone version of it and seeing Inball's speech and seeing you standing behind, and Kevin and everyone standing there. It was really great to see it and just see it before, I guess, the public saw it.
Sure.
It was really nice. And yeah, I was rooting for you. It's funny because actually I had talked to Jesse the day that you guys were there at the award show, and Jesse and I had literally said before I started pressing recording, I really hope they win. And then when we finished talking and our interview ended, I looked on Instagram and I went, oh my gosh, they did it. Yes.
Oh, amazing.
So it felt very serendipitous to me, just because Jesse and I guess J squared, because we're both Jesse, we both
love that,
had that same feeling of, oh gosh, I really hope. And then, there we go.
And it happened. Oh,
it was validating. Great to see, because I was rooting. Like Inball and I, if you see our interview, we literally talk about being up for the Eddie Award. And
amazing. And it all worked out.
Actually, it leads into perfectly for us as contributors too, since it's cool that we're eligible. Everyone is eligible. Editing team, director, so Cecilia, and the series itself, which I count that as contributors, participants, 100%. We're all up for and eligible. So hasn't been voted in yet, but eligible for Emmys.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. How do you feel about that?
It is. Yeah, well, it's exactly that. I really would welcome more opportunities for the whole team to be recognized, because it was so collaborative, and to have the series recognized and all the contributors recognized, I think would be really special. But yeah, fingers crossed.
I'm hoping. Well, more people should go watch Inballs, yeah. So they are right now watching that one. Inballs and Cecilia's interviews. They should watch more of that, because everyone within the interview series had led up to each of theirs. Like Morgan prepped me for Inball and prepped me for Nadine. I like giving credit for each person. And then let's see, Zoe prepped me with you and getting Nadine. Reminding everyone of, hey. So Zoe definitely helped for everyone in New York.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, our little New York crew.
Yes, which I have gotten pretty much, I think, everyone in New York, because I know, trying to think who else is in New York. My brain, I know him, like I have his face in my head, but I'm not thinking of his name right now. That's great. I'm cheating 1 minute.
Was it someone from the production side?
Yeah, I guess he was only there for 2 days. That's what Cecilia said, but regardless, he counts. He was part of it.
Totally.
Come on, show me. There we go. Oh yeah, Mike.
Oh yeah. Totally. Yeah. Also New York. Yeah, I didn't. In being on the editing side, I don't get to meet a lot of the people on the production side, but I have met Mike. But yeah, very cool.
Yeah, My meeting of Mike was in the interview. Actually, a lot of you have been for meeting for the first time, at least interview style, which is great, I feel, because then we actually get to build an actual relationship. And before we only got to hear names.
Totally.
That's also how the series started, because I know most people, at least for me personally, when I see a name, it doesn't have any meaning unless I know that person.
Yeah.
And interviews help get to know a person.
Yeah, completely.
I have so many intentions for this series. Here's a really fun one that I'm interested in knowing for you, especially. Which editor inspired you to become an editor yourself?
Ooh.
Or multiple editors.
Many. Yeah. It's hard to say because so many. The like place that was most inspiring for me as an editor, like I think when I first got into editing, I don't think it was kind of there wasn't like one editor I was striving to be or something. I was just really excited about, I was like in high school and I was really excited about filmmaking and storytelling and learning, and documentary editing just felt like perfect kind of fusion of all of that. But I'm in Brooklyn now, but I used to be based in Chicago, and there's a documentary production company out in Chicago called Cartemquin. And I kind of first got started in my career working there and interning there when I was in college. And I think seeing a lot of Cartemquin's films and the editors of those films was really inspiring for me. Cartemquin had like an in-house editor named Leslie Simmer, and there's an editor named Aaron Wickenden I really looked up to. And so I think like seeing a lot of Cartemquin films really definitely kind of informed the way I approach things now. And seeing the approach that they took to filmmaking informed that for me too. So I think kind of like maybe kind of too broad an answer, but a lot of Cartemquin editors were really inspiring for me. And actually I wound up working on a film called Dilemma of Desire as a co-editor, where I was working under an editor named Liz Carr. She's really amazing, and I learned a lot working with her. So I don't know, I'm always getting inspired by people, and there's so many editors who are inspiring to me now, and it's really special getting to, meet them and build those relationships. But yeah, I think in the earlier days, Cartemquin was a huge thing for me, and I really recommend Cartemquin docs generally.
I will definitely check hers out. It's good to know. I'm learning a lot from the series, period. Our next question, which I'm also super curious about. So going from editor to director, since this was a project you did, I guess, for 6 years. You recently directed a documentary, making sure I wrote this correctly. So Bad Hostage?
That's it.
Okay. What was your favorite part of being director versus editor? I know we talked about this off camera earlier, but
yeah, we did talk a little bit about it, and I can talk about that more. Yeah, I love editing, and editing is how I love to it's my career, and it's what I love to do with my life. And I don't have like aspirations to just direct for a living, but when like a project comes up or a topic or an idea comes up that I just like can't let go of and I'm so attached to, then I'll direct. Part of the reason that project took so long to make is that it was always happening kind of in between projects or on the side as I was editing full time. And it was challenging because I was editing and directing the film for much of my time working on it. And I guess, to give like a quick blurb about it, it's a short documentary. It starts out with kind of a personal family story about my grandmother's experience being held hostage. And then it becomes this kind of broader criticism of the concept of Stockholm Syndrome. So it was a complicated film, and it was a really intense working on it as both director and editor, because you get really close to it, especially because it was a personal story too. And I think often as an editor, you come in with these like fresh eyes, and that's part of the director editor relationship. As an editor, you weren't in the field and you have a new perspective on the material. But in this case, I didn't have that, like being my own editor, I didn't have those fresh eyes. But I had a really strong sense of what I wanted the film to be. And so just kind of felt like I had to come at it myself. But what we eventually did is we did bring on a consulting editor who's amazing, named Nev Munir. And that kind of brought us those fresh eyes that we needed to help figure out some of the biggest story challenges. And anyway, so I'm getting off topic, but
no, you're good. Keep on going.
What you and I were chatting about earlier is kind of to the question of my favorite part about being a director. I think that, we were saying, I think it's kind of similar to what I love about being an editor, in that directing this film, I got so deep on this issue and so interested in this story and these ideas. And that led me to so many interesting people. Of course, there's the people in the film, but then also speaking with experts and authors and, podcast hosts, like all sorts of different people who had thought about these issues. And, I wanted to have a really deep understanding, of course, of this thing I was making a film about. And so reaching out to all these different people and learning so much from them and getting the opportunity to talk to these folks and learn from them, including my own family who I talked to in the film, was so special. Really kind of comes from that place of being really passionate, I think. And that's something I also love about editing, where I'm not necessarily like driving that concept myself, but kind of like an idea, a story, a concept is brought to me, and then I get to go so deep in it and learn so much from the people in it. Like I learned so much from all of you and all of your interviews working on Escaping Twin Flames. I really love that. It's such a cool way to experience the world.
Well, it's really cool to learn those facts too. Like I know I personally want to watch it, Bad Hostage, and I like the picture.
Yeah.
I think is the film's picture to leading people to watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then I will definitely be sharing that on my social medias because I wasn't positive, so I didn't touch it. I only touch it with confirmation, like with Jesse and their series of Sins of the South. I didn't want to touch that until there was full confirmation, and I didn't get that until Facebook. So then I went, okay, I can do it now.
Now I can share it. Yeah.
So now I got a confirmation. So know that it will be shared.
Thank you.
And now because you are working on other ones. What other projects that you're allowed to talk about are you working on currently and would like to share?
Yeah. So that's the big project I'm working on right now, I don't know how much I can share about because it's not mine, but I'm editing a feature documentary now. It's like a PBS feature documentary. And yeah, I don't know how much I can share about it, so I won't get in too deep on it, but that's been a really cool experience. But yeah, and then so that's been my full-time thing that I've been in pretty deep on the last kind of 6 months or so. And then yeah, just working on finishing my film Bad Hostage, or I guess it's finished. I'm so used to saying I'm finishing it and now it's done, and I'm not used to that, but anyway, releasing that, I guess. And then the one other thing is I have a project I'm working on with a couple other folks, kind of more in development or early production. That's another feature documentary about IUDs, about intrauterine devices. And so that's a film that we've actually been working on for a little while, but it's still in pretty early stages. That's kind of looking at IUDs as kind of a cultural phenomenon that had this like explosion in popularity, but how they also have like a pretty complex history, and kind of looking at them as a device that has both been used to take away power from a lot of people and to empower a lot of people, and the kind of complexity there. So that's another one I'm working on. Yeah.
Ooh, those all sound fun. And then for actually the Stockholm Syndrome one, and if you're allowed to, the one you just said, I know the PBS one, that's the no right now, but if you have links, because I'd like to at least have the links, like with Jesse, Jesse had a Vimeo link to their documentary of a friend who is pregnant and a trans man.
Yeah.
So I like to at least have links to your guys' projects. Some of them I have to research and find, but if you guys have it,
I will make you do that. I'll send it your way.
Okay. Because I would like to do that at least for you to have that little link in there, because gotta support all the way.
Back at you.
Oh, thank you. And then if there's anything else you want to talk about too, we can also add that at the end here, or if you feel complete, I can do my little awkward ending.
Yeah, I don't know. This was a really great project and a really amazing team, and I think Inbal and Cecilia did a really incredible job, both of spearheading the show, but also of hiring and building a really great team around it, and of finding all of the contributors. And you all were so amazing in the show, and I don't know, I feel really lucky to have been a part of the whole process, and glad it's out there.
I'm glad it is too, and still hoping for a season 2. I will continue adding that publicly.
Fingers crossed.
Season 2.
Totally.
Yeah. Morgan actually in that interview has the key to how we'll get a season 2. That's my little telling people to go watch sign to say go watch Morgan too. Maybe I'll just
I haven't watched Morgan
in yours.
Yeah, totally. Do the little yeah.
I've been starting to play around with that. I'm learning more and more how to make it more tabloidy, so know that it's not going to necessarily be behind the scenes may or may not be a part of it. Like Nadine's is getting more watches because there is no behind the scenes in it. It's just secrets of escaping twin flames. or
Ooh, okay.
something you don't know, just like with Sammy, you'll see with hers. Like I had to change Jesse's little thing, and I changed in balls too, even though it got a lot of hits. I've been changing, not hits, views. When I say hits, I mean views.
I get
But
it.
I've been changing titles because it has to be tabloidy for people to actually want to see it, and the
Right.
thumbnail
Yeah,
has to be tabloidy. So
yeah.
also send me a picture that you're comfortable with of you.
Okay.
If you don't want a picture of you, I can get creative on that and figuring out how to make it tabloidy to come watch. But I have
I can send a
everyone, because
picture.
of my experience in the beginning of this series, since some people are worried with how they look publicly, I have people just email me a picture they're fine with. And then from there, I do what I choose with the thumbnail. So there is no yes or no on that, but you get to at least choose your picture.
I loved the one with Nadine because it was you and Nadine together.
Yeah, that was when
That
we
was so
went
sweet.
to, which I have on my Instagram story, a post about it, when we went to Blue Coffee. I don't remember the name of it, but it looks like a wine bottle. And right before
Oh,
she took me to the
yeah.
airport, we took that picture. Because she
Awesome.
said, "Can I
Yeah,
get a picture with you?" And I said, "Yeah." And
it's
then
such a
we
sweet
did that.
picture of both of you.
We had a lot of fun talking. I talked to her a whole lot. Like she was
Yeah,
my number one, besides Inbal and Cecilia. She was one of my number one contacts, and every so often when
totally.
Nadine couldn't, Morgan would step in and became a bigger contact too. And then
Yeah,
Inbal eventually stepped in, and then Cecilia eventually stepped in, and then, but for the most part, I talked to Nadine the most.
totally. Yeah.
But
I'm curious one thing, when we were talking about kind of collaboration and you were, saying how you kind of sense that collaboration on like the meetings and everything too. Like, did you feel a part of that collaboration, if that makes sense?
for me in the beginning, if I'm honest, at first I didn't, because
Yeah.
I wasn't used to, I guess, that level of being so open and honest in front of me. At least the jobs
Yeah.
I worked at, not until recently, have done that, just literally talking about exactly what it was. So I wasn't used to
Yeah.
that. So I didn't understand that fully yet. So I didn't feel it at first, but that's only
Yeah.
due to my own not understanding and the way that most job forces work in America isn't that inclusive. And I am a
Totally.
person that's all about inclusion. So this
Yeah.
was new to me. And it took me at least few months of talking to everyone to actually feel like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm actually a part of this. Because eventually
Right.
Morgan, which led to me going, oh, I am actually a part of this. She went, what do you think? That was one of her questions. And I went, what?
Yeah.
I'm getting asked what I think.
Yeah.
So that was my first, I guess, aha, I don't understand this. Oh, I'm being included moment, because I wasn't
Right.
used to someone saying, what do you think?
Right.
Instead, it
Oh,
was, this
good.
is,
Yeah.
so it was definitely inclusive in a very collaborative way, which I haven't dealt with in my everyday life until I worked on this set as a collaborator slash participant, and being
Yeah, totally.
included and asked questions of, are you comfortable with this? Are you not comfortable with that? How can we make this better for you? I got a lot of
Hmm.
those questions and had to start having replies to them.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, completely. I'm so glad that aha moment arrived.
It took a while because of my
Yeah.
experience in the cult. I definitely
Yeah.
do have a lot of, especially dislike to what seems like authority, even
Hmm.
if there isn't authority there. But that's only due to Jeff and Shalia and due to what I personally endured when I was in there. And the
Yep.
fact that I like that Nadine and I talked about this, so I'll just bring it up in here too.
Yeah.
That Jeff, I guess she saw the videos, that there is the actual recordings. I was wondering if those recordings made it into the right hands, but I guess Nadine saw some of it. Jeff always kept me arm's length away because of my own justice of feelings, things, and when things weren't right, and me sensing
Hmm.
that. Because
Yeah.
you do, there is a part that senses that. And as
Yeah.
Dr. Lalich brought up, the whole breaking of the, I don't remember what it is, but it breaks.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
go, oh, this isn't right. You definitely do have those moments when you're in a cult, and maybe it's not right away, but you do
Right.
eventually have those moments. Sometimes it takes a lot to wake up, especially if you're there for
Yeah.
years. Like I guess Sarah Edmondson was there for 6 years, 6 or longer, maybe 10. I don't know her exact amount, but she was there a long time. So it does
Yeah.
take a
Yeah.
while to wake up. I was only there 4 3 or 4 years. So it wasn't as long, but the indoctrination does take at least a year alone of just gaining trust and relationship, because that's what it's about. That's literally what Jeff teaches. You're building a relationship with your clients.
Right.
You're loving them. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, the scare quotes are appropriate.
But yeah, like even just bringing up your question of that, when we were having those discussions before even considering me being in front of the cameras, one of the things that was, oh geez, I lost my train of thought. I hate when I do that. One of the things that was asked, the number one thing that was talked about, sorry, I do this, welcome to me.
I hear you.
Kept on bringing up, like, you were really, what is that, like, in the water where someone's trying to get information from you, what the word is called?
Like what? The torture method?
Yeah, torture method.
Waterboarding?
There you go. What I went through, it was a emotional version of waterboarding, of changing my gender, period.
Yeah.
There was a lot that didn't make it in our actual filming process and before filming process of my story, of that alone. And I'm not going to go into it publicly right now, but I will in my memoir. It's just because I don't want to go back there right now, but it was a form of waterboarding, but emotionally, and people don't get coercion can make it to that level. It doesn't have to be physical for it to be that level. You can literally brainwash people into doing whatever you want them to do. Every single human on this earth has that power to do that. It's whether they choose to do it or not. Because like I said, I've seen it in everyday life and jobs I've had, and even in the past that I've had.
Yeah, completely.
Because you can do it. It's just up to you. It's why even in my everyday jobs, I am very careful in how I do things behaviorally, because you can absolutely do that to anyone.
Yeah, 100%.
That was important to me, at least, to add in our discussion, because we went good ways
thank
here.
You for adding that. Totally.
Now I'll do my ending piece, which is...
Take it away.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Embrace your truth. Tell your story. Everyone has a story, including you. I appreciate you telling yours, at least for being on virtual set. I'm going to go with virtual set, even if you weren't on an actual set. And yeah, thank you, Mimi.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Jesse.
And let's see if I can grab this in time.